Straight to Washington, D.C. Rahul Kanwal, editor Headlines Today, has been tracking all the developments. He has both the presidential candidates on his radar. Rahul, history set to be made in the U.S.
Many thanks, Gaurav. It's a very, very exciting time here in Washington. I'm here at the Voice of America studios in Washington. I have Niharika Acharya with me.
Hello.
Wherever we go out on the streets all across America, people are just talking about one thing. Will Barack Obama be the next president of the United States? We have Democrat Party supporter Toby Chaudhary with us over here in the studio. Many thanks for joining us, Toby. But let me start with you, Niharika, first. As someone who spent a lot of time over here, answer the question which everybody who's watching right now wants to know about. Do you think Barack Obama will win come tomorrow?
Well, see, I'm not a betting person. But having said that, if you look at all the polls, and if you look at the amount of energy that his campaign seems to have generated across this country, you saw early voting lines. There were people in Georgia waiting 8-10 hours to vote early so that they didn't miss their chance on Tuesday. You can clearly see that this country is energized. You have the whole world noticing the U.S. elections. So clearly, Barack Obama in many ways has transformed this election moving forward. Having said that, he is leading. McCain, we must not forget, was almost ruled out of contention in the primary season, and he came back. Well, he likes to call himself the comeback kid as well, and he's been talking a lot about that. We have to see, and the Republican Party really has gotten its people on the ground the last 72 hours before polling starts. They have people down. They have an ad blitz. They're matching Obama ad for ad in very crucial states. So let's not count John McCain out, because as analysts or even as reporters, we do not want to predict something that would not eventually turn out to be right. But right, Barack Obama is leading. I guess we can safely say that.
Let's just tell our viewers about the small secret. Since the time Toby's come into our studios, he's had this big smile on his face. The Democrat Party already feeling they've won?
Well, we're feeling very good. You know, this election isn't going to be decided just tomorrow. This is part of a 2-year campaign that's been roiling out there, and Barack Obama has crossed his T's, he's dotted his I's. He has a real hefty organization on the ground in places that count. And right now, the McCain campaign is really playing on defense. They are working very hard to make sure that they can win all the same states that George Bush won in the last go-around. And we're fighting very hard. We have an organization on the ground that is unparalleled. We've never seen anything like it in American politics.
Well, Toby, just to kind of get this other point out here, a lot of people are now again talking about the Bradley effect. Do you think race is a factor in this election, or has America moved past that stumbling block?
Well, it'd be foolish to say that race has no factor here, because that's been a big part of the conversation. And when we look at the voters who really count, working people in key states, they may be very sensitive to race issues, but there's a funny thing that's happened. You know, a drowning man doesn't care about the race of the person who's throwing him a lifesaver. And right now, folks are really feeling it in the chin that the economy is just sputtering along, and they see that Barack Obama is someone who has a real clear vision for how he wants to turn this economy around. And John McCain, even to this day, has had an erratic response to that.
So you think the economy really is the reason why we see Barack Obama in a commanding position before voting starts?
Well, I think there are a couple of different factors. Number one, he has a very strong organization. Number two, he has a very clear message. And number three, the economic crisis we're all in has only galvanized the lead that he has had.
Right, Toby, there's a huge amount of interest in these elections back home. But people are concerned about the impact that Barack Obama will have on India. We saw his comments on Kashmir today. Before that, we've seen his comments on outsourcing. We were at the Jackson Heights suburb in New York. A lot of people there, small businessmen, concerned about the impact of his tax policies. They say, while Obama might be good for America, will he actually be good for India?
Well, I think he'll be great for India. I mean, if there's a candidate who can really take the U.S.-India relationship to a new level, it's Barack Obama. I mean, essentially, the Bush administration's policies up until today have really created a global economy that is contracting right now. And what Barack Obama really wants to do is he wants to create a new level of investment right here in the United States so we can create a whole new generation of jobs and unleash our science and technology and create a working economy for working people, not only in the U.S., but also in India.
Address the concerns about outsourcing, the concerns that this might impact lakhs of jobs back home, because it's a big booming sector, the BPO IT sector in India.
You know, the conversation that is overlooked in all of that is that the American consumer ultimately props up the global economy. So if the American consumer isn't strong, then the global economy in India, in China, is going to also fold. Right now, the United States exports two things. We export jobs and we export debt. Now, this is the result of conservative policies that we've seen for really the last generation. Barack Obama, as president, would turn that around and create a whole new perspective on how trade happens fairly, not just freely, but fairly. And it will have an impact on how trade happens with India, but I imagine that it'll really help the working people of India as well as the United States.
In that message is the fact that Barack Obama will, of course, end up hurting the outsourcing industry, but everybody's really hoping that everything else he does will help overcome that loss. We're heading into a very short commercial break right now, but when we come back, we'll focus on whether the Democrats are celebrating a bit too soon and whether McCain can still make a comeback. Thanks, Toby, for joining us.
Thanks.